time is out of joint. Not that kind of joint, all right? I'm looking at you, chat. So, take the ancient philosophical dispute between Parmenides and Heraclitus, right? Philosophers had way cooler names back in the past, right? Parmenides says that whatever is and always will be. Whatever is not, cannot, and will not, right? Obvious. No, I'll tell you. His point is this one, right? Truth, right? What is something that is eternal. And anything that's not eternal isn't really true, right? That's what he believes, right? So take this situation. I'm nervous, evidently, right? But actually, am I nervous, right? Is who I am determined by nervousness? And actually, no, I feel nervous sometimes. Other times I feel lonely or whatever. I almost said happy there. That would have been embarrassing. But the idea here is that whatever I am or whatever truth is, it's not something passing or something temporal. It's something outside of time, right? It's 2 + 2 = 4, right? It's a sort of a tenseless presence, right? There is no time in which 2 + 2 = 4 isn't true, right? It's just always true. And we get this sentiment shared around now with this Eckhart Tolle bullshit, be in the moment, right? But even he kind of misses the point here, the kind of point, the tenselessness, right? He says, be in the moment, but the point is, what moment, In this view, that's the ultimate truth, right? But Heraclitus just blows this whole thing open, right? Because he counters, you can't step into the same river twice. And the idea is that if there is a unity in things, if there is an eternal dimension or fundamental truth to reality, it's one that's composed of a certain kind of difference and change. Time is out of joint. It's in friction with itself. So sorry, Parmenides or Eckhart Tolle or whatever, but there is a truth in this moment, and it's a truth that relies on a past, on my decision to agree to do this event, for example, my training as a philosopher, the culture and traditions that I grew up in, that this moment is somehow determined by a pandemic that is ongoing, but has its roots in a particular globalized society, in a society that's so busy worrying about growing and progressing that it largely ignores the well-being of its most needy citizens. And all that's here with us right now, right? It's a moment that's also determined by the future of who we all hope to be one day, right? Or of the hope that we might one day turn back to normalcy, or maybe now a moment that's become despair that we may not, right? And all of these qualitative elements relate to each other in some way and kind of open a space in which this moment is realized. This is the one big problem with understanding the moment in the abstract, right? Taken away from a past and a future. Right? Moments are not the same. This moment is not the same as another moment, whether I'm fully present to it or not, right? Indeed, it is through the act of presence that I begin to notice the remarkably different character of each moment. And this allows me to become especially receptive to the peculiar character of time. If I'm bored, time slows down. The Germans have a great word for boredom, actually, Langweilig, right? Which means a long while, right? And that's what boredom is. Things are taking a long while. And I'm not bored because things are taking a long while. Rather, things are taking a long while because I'm bored, And this invites the question, why am I bored? Or what does this boredom teach me about myself or the world, So I find myself thinking about this during the pandemic. Is time sped up or has it slowed right down? I feel like it's both, It's always the same, and yet it was already Tuesday yesterday, wasn't it? Where are the weeks going? I think this happens when the qualitative differences in time become erased or kind of flattened out a bit. We are all living in a kind of Groundhog Day, the same day over and over again. Maybe now we're living in this eternal presence, as it turns out, and Parmenides, it sucks, right? As I said earlier, time, or at least human time, whatever that means, requires difference. It requires some tension between past, present, and future to allow for some kind of significant truth or meaning. And that's what really this is about, right? The relationship between meaning and time. And perhaps the future is one of the more crucial pieces in this, because I know the importance of this moment because I know who it is I want to become, or I know what life I want to leave, or that it has some greater purpose beyond this moment, right? It's leading towards something. I don't know if I know what that is anymore, though, right? I don't know if I have hope for our future, right? whether it's coronavirus or continued expressions of white male supremacy or environmental catastrophe. I mean, these problems are all expressions of a globalized system that is in serious crisis, that is in breakdown. And they can't be dealt with in isolation from each other. To address them, we need a new way of seeing, a new way of inhabiting the world. But I feel like I'm just condemned to my home, witnessing all of this. So my question for you all will be, what does time feel like right now? What is the relationship between time and meaning? Big questions. Now you know why we kind of isolate ourselves from the rest of the world. But look, I didn't want to come here to depress everyone. So here's something else, right? Maybe something more hopeful, something I've noticed from going through this time, and that's about recognition and the importance of being recognized, right? I've been thinking a bit about this philosopher, Descartes. People might know him from the phrase, I think, therefore I am. And Descartes is a bit like Parmenides, right? In that he's also searching for some sort of eternal or fundamental truth. And for him, that's the certainty of the cogito, or the I think, right? I think, therefore I am. Everything else could be false, the whole world a dream, but what is definitely true is that I'm here to think about it, whether it's true or not, right? I think, therefore I am. The problem with this is that the I am is already presupposed by the I think, right? You wouldn't be thinking if you weren't amming, whatever that means, right? First, right? So the truth of the I think, the cogito, neglects a much more fundamental scrutiny on the I am or the amness or whatever. And for me, what's become apparent with all these lockdowns and not seeing other people is that this amness isn't just an I. It's not an I think. It's a you and a we, us. It's in this space where we recognize each other. And it's again about difference, right? Somebody other than myself to question what I take to be true or what I believe, to put my perspective, my I think into question. And there's a piece of that in the simple acknowledgement of my existence, right? The nod across the street that tells me, oh yeah, there are other people in the world, right? One obsession Descartes has in his writings is that maybe everyone else is just a machine. He goes, I look at out the window and I think I see people, but maybe all I see is a bunch of robots with hats on their heads, right? I don't know, right? But there's an easy way of checking, leave your little isolated room where you're writing your important philosophical text and go and have a chat, right? Now, I'm being a little bit facetious there, right? But I don't think it's an accident that isolation leads to madness, right? Because I don't really feel human at the moment. I have a certain affinity for isolation, but I didn't realize the privilege of being able to leave my house and for someone to say, hey, how are you doing? Or just to nod at me as I pass, for me to say, here's what I've been thinking about, and for someone else to say, well, you're fucking wrong, and great, I think, therefore I am. No, I think that there's this fundamental dimension to being human being where who I am is constituted by the gaze of somebody else, right? And this is actually obviously true, right? In the sense that I wear these clothes because other people wear clothes like them. I like this music because my friends listen to it, or we eat the foods that we grew up eating, that there's always a part of us that's actually other people, right? And this is often seen as a bad thing, right? Be yourself, don't be like others. But I think the fact that we're often other people more than we are ourselves is maybe a derivative expression of something much deeper, much more important, right? We're all concerned about being individuals. Descartes' philosophy testifies to this. But maybe we're also busy being individuals that we've lost community. And in that process, we've lost ourselves in a much deeper way. So thanks, Bright Club, right? Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Chandrika, Eve. Thanks, Colm. Thanks, Heidi. Thanks, chat. Whoever you are, I can't see your faces, but thanks for recognizing mine tonight. Thanks for witnessing me in this moment. I need it. Not because I'm mental, but because to be human means to first be recognized as such. So thank you.